Alright, good morning ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today we have our hardest video of fractions. We're going to talk about subtracting mixed numbers with regrouping, which is essentially going to be, we're borrowing. This is the hardest video, this is the one that you're going to have to take the most time on, and if you need some help you're definitely going to have to ask. Like I said, this is the hardest one. Your objective for today is, as a student, you should be able to accurately subtract mixed numbers. You will need graphic organizer number 6. We're going to be working on side 1. It's the only side of this one. You're basically just about done with the fractions unit. Congratulations. However, like I said, this one is the hardest video. Alright, your 4 steps, I think they're already on your graphic organizer, but you might want to double check. You might have to write them down. So, number 1, you're going to find the least common denominator, just like we have been for all adding and subtracting, comparing, and ordering. Alright, you're going to rename those fractions using the least common denominator. Alright, same thing. You're going to keep the whole number. Alright, we don't want to have to convert, because if we convert we're going to get really large numbers and none of us want ginormous numbers. Alright, number 3 is the most important. When we subtract the fractions you might have to borrow. This is the one part where everybody seems to get confused and it makes it difficult. And finally, simplify or convert to mixed numbers if necessary. We're going to move on. So we have our first example. We have 13 and 1/8 minus 12 and 10/12. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, with all my last videos, is I like to write these straight up and down. So I'm going to first change this to 13 and 1/8 minus 12 and 10/12, and I'm writing it straight up and down. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just like normal, I have to find a common denominator. And how do I do that? Well, I can use the listing method, which is 8 and 12, and I would get 8, 16, and 24, and 12, and 24, and that's my common denominator. So what I'm going to do, just like I have been with all adding and subtracting, is I'm going to convert these fractions into equivalent ones with a common denominator. So this is 13 and something over 24 minus 12 and something over 24. Now the major question is, how does that 12 become 24? Well, we multiplied by 2. If we do it to the bottom, the golden rule says we got to do it to the top. So 10 times 2 would be 20. So we're going to go ahead and put 20 in our fraction numerator at the top. Okay. Same thing with the top. How does 8 become 24? Well, we multiply by 3. Do it to the bottom. We must do it to the top. 1 times 3 is 3. Okay. So now if we look right here, we have 13 and 3/24 minus 12 and 20/24. The first thing we're supposed to go ahead and do is subtract these two numbers. Okay, 3/24 minus 20/24. But you can't do 3 minus 20. That's not going to work. So this is where it gets difficult. You need to borrow. And if you remember in the last video, you had to borrow as well, but when we borrowed, we had zeros at the top. Well, this time we don't have zeros, so we got to make sure we pay attention. We're going to borrow from that 13, it becomes a 12. Okay? And once again, what we're doing is every time we borrow, it's worth this denominator. Okay? So in this particular case, if this was pizza, this pizza is broken up into 24 slices, so we're going to get 24 new slices. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this numerator and we're going to simply add it to the denominator, 30 plus 24, which gives us 27. That's our new denominator when we borrow. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on. 27 minus 20 would simply give us 7/24, and 12 minus 12 is 0, so I'm not even going to write that down. Alright, so we have 7/24, so we need to double check to make sure it's simplified, and it already is. I know that because 7's a prime number and does not go into 24 evenly, so you're going to go ahead and say your answer is 7/24. Okay, that's our first example. We're going to go ahead and do a couple more. Here we go. Example number 2. We have 19 and 7/12 minus 19 and 1/5. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and write them straight up and down because it's easier for me to see. I like when people do that. Alright, we're going to go ahead and change this to a common denominator. Now, 12 and 5, you can go ahead and list them out, and I will let you know that if you list them out, you're going to get 60. Okay, so that's our common denominator. So we're going to say it's 19 and something over 60. Alright, so there's that. Minus 19 and something over 60. Now the question is, how does 12 become 60? Well, you multiply by 5. 5 times 7 is 35. Okay. Next one. How does 5 become 60? Well, that one you're multiplying by 12. You need to do the same thing to the numerator, which is 1. 1 times 12 is 12. And if we look at this one, we're going to go ahead and subtract the fractions first. This one we can actually do. We don't need to borrow, which is really awesome because that makes it a lot easier. 35 minus 12 is simply going to give us 23/60ths. So we're going to have 23/60ths down here. And we're going to do 19 minus 19, which is 0, so we're not even going to write that down. We got 23/60ths, okay, and that's our answer. It is simplified. Let's move on to example number 3. We have 9 1/5 minus 5 4/6. So we're going to go ahead and get started. 9 1/5, we're going to go ahead and put, we're going to line them straight up and down, 5 4/6, okay. We're going to go ahead and find a common denominator. We could list them out. If you do 5 and 6, you will find out that your common denominator is going to be 30. So we're going to go ahead and use that one. I'm going to say 9 and something over 30, because remember, we cannot subtract fractions without a common denominator. Minus, 5 over something over 30. 5 and something over 30. So how does 5 become 30 in the top part? We're going to go ahead and say that you multiply by 6. So 1 times 6 would be 6. How does 6 become 30? Well, you multiply by 5. 4 times 5, well, that's 20. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and do our subtraction. But right now, we have 6/30ths minus 20/30ths. We cannot do that. So in this particular case, 6 minus 20, we're going to have to go ahead and borrow. So we're going to borrow from the 9. Okay, the 9 becomes an 8. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put an 8 at the top. All right, so that's an 8. And remember, what we do is we simply add the numerator and the denominator together to get our new numerator. So 6 plus 30 is going to be 36. So that's our new one. So now 36 minus 20 is 16 over 30. And we're also going to worry about 8 minus 5 because we can actually do that in this one. 8 minus 5 is 3. And hey, wait, we got to do the last step. We got to double check to make sure that we can simplify. So 16 over 30. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the cake. How does 16 and 30, what goes into both of them? I'm going to say 2. That would give me 8 and 15. And I think I'm done, and I am. So it's going to be 8/15. So this is 3. Don't forget. Do not forget your whole number, because that's like forgetting your parents. You go to the mall, you forgot your parents. That is horrible. All right? You can't forget your parents. It'd be, think about it. What if your parents left you at the mall all day, and you were like 4 years old? I mean, it just wouldn't work. I'd go to jail for that. So we can't do that. So 3 and 8/15, right? Don't forget your parents. All right, moving on. All right, last example I'm going to give you. We have 18 and 1/10, and we're going to subtract 8 and 2/5, and we're going to go ahead and find a common denominator, and that is going to be 10, which is a simple one. This one is already 10, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the numerator in, and minus 8 and something over 10. How does 5 become 10? Well, you multiply by 2. You need to do it to the top as well. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so we have 18 and 1/10 minus 8 and 4/10. We cannot do 1/10 minus 4/10, so we need to go ahead and borrow. We're going to do that. We're going to borrow from the 18. Okay, borrow from the 18, it becomes a 17. And remember, we add these two together. 1 plus 10 is going to actually be 11. I can actually just write that in there. 11 minus 4 will give us 7/10, and 17 minus 8 is 9. 7/10 is already simplified. Ladies and gentlemen, your answer is 9 and 7/10. At this time, I would like for you to do these 3 problems. I will go over them after you do them. Please pause the video, and then I will follow up with an exit ticket. Okay? Pause the video. Now, let's do it, man. Go. All right, I'm back. I'm going to go ahead and do these really quickly. I'm not going to explain myself very much. So here we go, 8 1/2 minus 17 and 2/8. Common denominator was 8, so 18 and 4/8. Minus 17 and 2/8, and 4/8 minus 2/8 is 2/8. 1 and 2/8, which is equal to 1 and 2/8, and I'm going to go ahead and put it over here because I'm running out of space. That's 1 and 1/4. That should have been your answer. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. 20 and 1/8 minus 2 and 1/2. That's going to be, common denominator is 8 once again, minus 2, and that's going to be 4/8. I'm going to have to borrow because I can't do 1 minus 4. That'd be 19, and this is going to be a 9. So 9 minus 4 gives us 5. 8, and 19 minus 2 is 17. That's your answer for that one. All right, got to run out of room right here. Go ahead and line them up. 20 and 3/4. You should have had minus 18 and 2/3. Common denominator was 12, so that's 20 and something over 12, minus 18, something over 12. Okay, you should have gotten, for the numerator for the top one, you should have gotten 9 because we multiplied by 3. You should have gotten 8 because we multiplied by 4 at the top, so we should get an 8 here. 9 minus 8 is 1/12. Congratulations, there was no borrowing involved. That is awesome. And 20 minus 8 is 2. We're going to go ahead and get 2 and 1/12. That's simplified, ladies and gentlemen. Those are your 3 answers. Hopefully you got all of them correct. If you did not, you really need to come see Mr. Williams, because at this time, like, totally, you're going to need to come see me. All right, now, your exit ticket. You have 3 problems. I'm going to be honest, a couple of them ask you to borrow. Now, today in this one, when you do your exit ticket, yes, you're going to go ahead and take a picture and you're going to submit it. But what I really want you to do is bring it to me, okay? Because like I said, this is the hardest skill. So when you finish this exit ticket, I want to look at it personally in my classroom right now. Bring it to me, all right? That's what I need you to do. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your 3. I hope you figured everything out that you needed. Good luck. I'm out. Sorry it's a little bit longer, but hey, like I said, it's the hardest one.